Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the new Android-based MMI Panorama infotainment system in the brand new Audi Q6 E-Tron and Audi Q6 E-Tron. The new MMI Panorama infotainment system consists of this 12.1-inch driver's display that is also new, and a 14.1-inch infotainment system that is also new. And then you have the steering wheel, which we first saw this layout in the Q4 E-Tron, but now you can find these touch buttons, which are touch capacitive, but also physical buttons in the Q4 E-Tron and also the E-Tron GT. Lastly, we have a brand new panel. Now let's start talking about this new side panel that collects a lot of functionalities here on the door. Whereas before you may have had, your separate light controls here, maybe you had some mirror controls here next to the windows, and also buttons for your child locks, and then you had memory buttons over here, and then maybe your door locks over here. Everything is now collected in one place. And at first, when I saw this, at the launch of this car earlier this year in Munich, I thought this was some kind of dumb, cost saving idea. But after using it for a week, I think it's actually really nice having all of the functions in one place. So up top here you have your locks, door locks, and then you have your lights front and rear, and then you have your mirror switches, and then you have your settings for your seats, and then you have the child locks. So a lot of modern cars now have buried this in menus, and I think it's really nice that Audi hasn't gone that way. Yes, they have collected it here now, it's easier to use, but this is a much better solution than what we've seen from, for example, Volvo with the EX30 and the EX90, and also Polestar with the Polestar 3. This is just easier. It's a really nice placement. The only thing I'm not a fan of is that it is glossy black plastics, so it's going to get dusty and fingerprinty really quickly, but I really like the idea here. Now let's take a look at the new driver's display, which is 12.1 inches. So I think it is the same size as before, but it may be a little bit smaller or maybe a little bit bigger, but it's pretty much the same screen real estate as we had before, but in this new curved glass display. It is really, really nice. So the car is now in drive, and then you can see that we have this nice view of the road. It shows the speed limit. It will also show other cars in the vicinity or pedestrians, like with a Tesla. So this is a right step forward for Audi. We can press a button called View on the steering wheel, and then that gives us information on the left side of the center and on the right side. So on the right side, you have your media. On the left side, you have your trip computers, which you can change. So I can press another button on the steering wheel, and then I can go from my short-term memory to my long-term memory on the consumption and average speed and time. And then we can go into recuperation mode. And that's it. Is there more? Yeah, this is just our live consumption and average consumption. And then I can go to the right side. Now I have my media, what song is playing, and that's it. There's nothing else. Oh, you can also do, you can go further to see your phone contacts. But what's really nice is that you have this center display now. Everything at first may be a little bit overwhelming because there is a lot of information, but after using it, it is actually really, really nice. When I could put the car back into drive, you can see down here it changes into B, or it goes into D. So you have normal drive mode, which is coasting, and then you have B, which is full one pedal driving. You can also see down here that our lane keep assist is on, and you can turn that really off really quickly by pressing the button on the outside of the blinker stock for a few seconds. And that is really, really, really nice. Now let's take a look at the centerpiece of this new MMI Panorama infotainment system, which is this new curved 14.1-inch central display. So the infotainment systems in other Audis are 10.9 inches. This is 14.1, which may not sound like a big upgrade, but because screens are measured diagonally, this is actually a much, much bigger screen than we have seen in any Audi previously. And that is welcome, because having all of this real estate in this beautiful layout is really easy and nice to use. So this is an Android-based infotainment system, but unless you know about it, you're not gonna notice it in daily use because it has its own Audi UI, that's user interface, on top of the Android infotainment system. And also Audi have chosen not to include a lot of the Google and Android services in this infotainment system, but when I went to the launch earlier this year, 2-day technical presentation with the team, the engineers, the UI developers, the people who have made this car, they talked about them being open to, well, including those services in the future if there is enough demand. But as the car is released now, there are a lot of Google services that are not included. And one of them is the Google Maps. So this does not have Google Maps. What you're seeing here is a version of TomTom Maps for Audi. So a lot of that Google functionality from Google Maps, you're not going to get that here. But I've used this, for a week now. I did a range test and also a long trip test where I was using this, and it works really nicely. And what's really nice is that you can use both the built-in navigation system, and you can also use Google Maps on CarPlay simultaneously. In other cars, if you are on one of these, if you're, for example, navigated on the built-in navigation system and then you switch over to using this, you put in an address, it will cancel automatically what you're doing here, and vice versa. With this though, I found out that you can actually use both at the same time, which is really, really nice. And that's actually, the both of best worlds in my opinion. So also what you're going to get with that Android infotainment system is easier updates for the infotainment system as a whole, and with the car, with all of the computer systems which are now integrated into one system where you can get OTAs. That has not been the case with other Audis. So we have this beautiful layout here, and on the bottom we have a dedicated line or dedicated real estate for your HVAC controls. In other Audis you have physical buttons, which I do prefer, like in the Audi Q4 E-Tron or in the Audi e-tron GT. You have a panel below here with physical buttons. Or you have something like the Q8 E-Tron where you have a physical screen, another screen for your HVAC. Here it is integrated here, and I think it actually works really nicely because all the icons and buttons are big and clear, unlike, for example, the Tesla Model 3 where you have very small arrows if you want to change the temperature. Here you don't actually have to hit it. You can hit it, I'm not even hitting the actual arrow, and it will change the temperature. In the Tesla Model 3, the arrows are much smaller and you have to hit it more precisely. So you also have your auto settings here: gentle, medium, and intense. You can also turn off and on your AC there, and then you also have menu to more HVAC controls, like if you want to route the air up or down. Here you also have a control for your heated steering wheel, which you also have on the steering wheel, and eco settings and stuff like that. Also comfort assist, so if you're going to exit the car, for example, it can do the auxiliary air conditioning and those functions. So everything is just really easy laid out. You can see that this part here is darkened out because I don't have a passenger sitting next to me, and also you have your heated seats there. So really, really nice layout, easy and intuitive to use. And also on the left side here, you now have very intuitive shortcut buttons that are easy to understand. So before you had like these 4 icons or 5 icons on the side, here you have everything in this box. So you have your home, you have your apps, you have your maps, you have your audio settings, or this is just your radio. You turn that down so we don't get a copyright strike for music. And then you have your phone, you have a charging menu, you have settings, and then you have Apple CarPlay. So it's really, really nice. And if you have Android Auto, I have an iPhone, but you have an Android, that will probably be Android Auto. So home, you have audio settings here, and you also have your maps there. I think you can swipe, yeah. And I think these are customizable. So really nice and responsive and really quick infotainment. So these boxes up here, at first you may think, no, that's just indicating like on your phone where you are on the screen, but you have that down there. This is actually your Audi voice assistant, which you can say this prompt and you can ask it a lot of things. And again, it works very well, but it's not like Google Assistant, which is the best in the business. So you can go, hey Audi, navigate.
Yes. How can I help you?
Navigate to Munich, Germany.
Munich. I'm starting route guidance.
So it actually works really, really nicely. So you can see what the interface looks like here. And it shows we're going to arrive with 0% stated charge and tells us that it is 1000. So range warning. It's not possible to reach the destination. Activate E-Tron route planner. Let's do that. And then the car should put in charging stops for us. And you can see that it says we're going to arrive there with 2% stated charge. And that is because earlier, when I drove this car on my long trip test, I changed some settings. I think it's here. Where are these settings? For the battery percentage, minimum battery percentage. I've set it to 2%. I can't find where it is now. I thought it was like over here somewhere. Charging settings. There we go. So you can set your minimum to a lot. So I set the minimum on this car to 2 at our destination and also at the charging station, which I think is sufficient because this car actually, you know, underestimates how much or overestimates how much battery you're going to use. And I've actually ended up coming to my destination with more charge than the car predicted. So that is really nice. So let's go out of that. And the car will show you all of your charging sessions there. It would tell you from what percent to what percent, how many minutes. Here you have all the charging stops along the way to Munich and also the speed at those chargers. It should also show the availability of the charger when we get closer. So compared to before, this is a much easier layout. So 3 years ago, I had an Audi e-tron GT as a private vehicle. I drove it down to Munich and used the old infotainment system, which actually works pretty nice, but it is a little bit cumbersome to use when you want to do, and you know, when you want to edit route or you want to add destinations. This seems much easier where I can go in. Can I move these around? Let's see. I can delete. Look at this. Yeah, there's a lot of nice information, but can I move it? No, but I can delete it. But this is en route. So it is really nice, and what I like now is that this percentage that the car estimates you're going to arrive with is now visible all the time. Before you had to press in the menu and it would still show you. But just having all of this information visible at a glance is really nice. So let's cancel that. And I'm going to show you, if I now choose to navigate to somewhere, let's do that. Okay, now it's started. Maybe it's because we were here. So now we are navigated to this place, but if we go back into this menu, oh no, did it cancel it? Oh, interesting. Okay, let's go to, I don't know what this address is. Okay, I've pressed that. Am I wrong? No. Okay, so now you can see that we're both navigated to this destination. And if we go in here, we're navigated to that destination. So that's really nice. That's nice to see that you can actually do both. And yeah, it's just really useful and easy to use. So here we have a lot of the apps are now in a very nice and nice layout that has a really nice overview. You have a few apps that are built into the car like Spotify and YouTube. So that is really nice. I haven't used any of those because I just used my phone. And yeah, you have a lot of settings here now where everything is really easy to use. So let's go into the charging menu, because what I am missing with this car that you have on the MAB platform cars, that's the Audi Q4 E-Tron, Volkswagen ID4, ID5, and also the Skoda Enyaq, is a charging menu where it will tell you how many kilowatts you will be able to charge at if you connect your charger now, or if you precondition the car. You can precondition it manually, but that is not present in this Audi. So that is really strange. I think they have that in the Audi Q4 e-tron. I may be mistaken, but at least they have that in the Volkswagen ID4, ID5, ID7, and the Skoda Enyaq. But Audi have chosen not to have that here, and asked about this specifically when I was at the launch again, that 2-day technical presentation with the engineers, and they said, no, we want the car to do all of that automatically. So with this car, you have to navigate to a charger. So if you're en route and it chooses a charger for you, it will precondition the car automatically. But it will not tell you if you connect to a charger now, what charge speed you will get, if you connect to a charger when you arrive there en route, or you cannot do manual preconditioning. So that is a missed opportunity. I wish, you know, I could have chosen that myself, because if I'm going to go maybe a short trip, I just don't want to fiddle around with a navigation system. I just want to, you know, go somewhere and I know where I'm going to stop and charge. I want to be able to do that manually. So overall, this new infotainment system is really nice. I don't have to jump into all of these settings here, because yeah, the settings are the settings. There are a lot of things to go through, but this is, you know, a really nice overview of this infotainment system. And as you guys can see, it is really easy and quick to use. So there we go, guys. That was my review and overview of this new MMI Panorama infotainment system in the new Audi Q6 and SQ6 E-Tron. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.